Financial markets seem to have found their footing in the last 36 hours on the hopes that maybe the Europeans have their act together and they grasp the severity of the situation in Greece. We're joined now by Gerald Celente. He's the publisher of the Trends Journal, who's been calling for a collapse for some time. And Gerald, there are some people who are saying that we already had the crash this summer. Did we already have it, or is it still coming?
It's still coming. Who ever had a summer like this one before? Yeah, I've been around a while. You never see some. And it wasn't that there were a couple of guys in the office, manipulating the markets. This was heavy volume. Who's ever seen fluctuations like this? And this is in the summer. Look at the price of gold jumping up, what, $200 in a month? No, the world is very, very weary and concerned. There's no way out of this mess.
And is there a way out of the mess?
Well, if you take the United States, for example, yeah, there is. And but nobody really seems to want to talk about it, except, I guess, Ron Paul. Cut military spending. What are we looking at, $1.5 trillion a year? And really looking at how about taxing the billionaires? That makes sense to me. And the stuff they talk about, and we're going to have more free trade. Oh, great. Just what got us into this. Look at the standard of living. It's not free trade. You're opening up your manufacturing plant in a slave labor country, making the product, bringing it back, and jacking it up.
So many things that we could do, but that we're not going to do. So are we headed for much more crash?
Yes, we believe it's going to happen. They usually do happen when people come back after the holiday and start looking at reality. Look at retail sales just came out. The real estate market, every one of them, there haven't been any recoveries. So probably October, if not
October is correct.
October, yeah, it always seems to be that.
Yeah, but always
it seems like always. No, really, you're looking at the third quarter's over. You're looking at the end of the year, and reality set in. There's no way out.
All right, so we certainly wouldn't expect you to say there was going to be a happy ending, but how bad is it going to be?
They're looking at a double-dip recession. It's not a double-dip recession. It's called depression. If you're living over in Europe and you're a young person, under 28 years old, you're among about 50% of the people that don't have jobs. And just look what's going on back here in the States. When you're looking at the effective unemployment rate, you're looking at almost 17%. People that want jobs, full-time jobs, that can't get them, and people can't get jobs at all. We're looking at a depression. Go back to the 1930s, and we're playing that scenario over again. It's a recession, and then another recession. There's no way out of it. And, this whole thing, by the way, is we have to save the banks. We have to. When did this start to happen?
Right, about 3 years ago. But so you mentioned gold before. It's trading around 1830s. We're talking now. How high do you think it goes, and how low does the Dow go in this crash that you see?
When Gordon Brown in the UK sold half of the United Kingdom's gold in 2001 at $275 an ounce, we said that was the beginning of the gold bull run. And I've been saying since gold 2000, effectively what it hit, 1922.
Right.
It's not in the interests of any of the central banks to keep the price of gold high. So they're going to keep doing everything they can to drive down the price. Having said that, I believe it's going to go much higher. But I'm putting a peg on that, a ceiling on that, and only because I think they're going to take some draconian measures to drive down the price of gold. For instance, you know whose fault it is that all these markets are doing so terrible? It's those gold speculators. We have to rein them in. And go back
raise margin requirements.
As they've already done so many times. But look what they did in 1930s, FDR.
Right.
Bank holiday, we're taking your gold. You got to sell it back to us at $20.62 an ounce. And then when we get it all, we're going to raise the price to $35 an ounce, which means we just devalued your paper currency by 40%. I think they're going to take those kind of measures.
Right. So what does that? That means the dollar obviously is going further weak from here. What does that mean for the stock market? I mean, you talk about a crash in the Dow. Is it going back to 2009 to the lows there? Or?
I'm not really a stock market kind of follower, but I think what the market is what you get. I don't see it getting much better than this. It could get much worse than this. What's to drive it higher? You need retail spending at 70% of the society's consumer base, consumer consumption. And you need unemployment to rise. And the mistake that people keep making, as I believe about gold, is it's not a bubble. I don't think so. primarily because when I began trading gold in 1978 at 187.50 cents an ounce, my first buy, remember the Hunt brothers cornered the silver market?
Right.
You can't corner the market anymore. Back then, hey, there was no Russia. You know, everything was behind the Iron Curtain. China, whoever believed it, and India, they were out of the game. It's a global game, and every country you go into, it's the same issue. Whether it's Israel, whether it's India, whether it's the so-called Arab Spring, whether it's Spain, the UK, a lot of people don't have anything, and very few have everything. Look at the poverty numbers that just came out. Who would have ever believed that the United States ranks down near the bottom in the gap between the rich and the poor? I think Chile, Mexico, and Israel is just, we're right down the bottom at a 38. So this thing is collapsing worldwide. It's a global collapse. Far too few have much too much, and way too many have much too little. And when the money stops flowing down to the man on the street, the blood starts flowing in the streets. This is not a pro-democracy movement in the Middle East. It has nothing to do with democracy. It has to do with a lot of people having no money and really being angry.
All right, Gerald, we'll get leave it there. Thanks very much.